This conference will now be recorded.
Judge Aurelio Guerra,
Here.
Mayor Ambrosio Hernandez, a representative from FAR, Mayor Chris Boswell,
Here.
Commissioner Nurith Galansky. Nurith, can you turn your camera on, please?
Could you just give me a moment though, because I'm driving,
Ma'am?
but I'm present. Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, can you turn your camera on?
Just give me a moment because I'm driving, please. But yes, I will.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jim Darling,
Present.
Commissioner David Garza, Commissioner David Fuentes, might be arriving late, Commissioner Pilar Garza, Councilman Johnny Garcia, Mayor Rick Salinas. I see you, sir. Your microphone's not on, though.
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Omar Quintanilla.
Here.
Thank you, sir, for attending. Mayor Oscar Montoya.
Here.
Councilwoman Nori Garza. Here. Thank you, ma'am. Mayor George Ledesma.
Here.
Thank you, sir. Mayor Maribel Guerrero.
Present. I'm working on video.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner Edward Gonzalez.
Present.
Oh, thank you. Mayor Rick Guerra is hopefully on his way. Oh, there you are. Good. Thank you, sir. Commissioner Marco Villegas.
Present.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Veronica Gonzalez. Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Paul Hernandez.
Here.
Ms. Claudia Hernandez. Mr. Troy Allen. Mr. Ronald Mills. Mr. Eleazar Garcia Jr.
I'm here.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Sergio Contreras and Ms. Lupita Sanchez Martinez. We do have a quorum, sir.
Okay, we have quorum, we'll proceed. Line item 1B, the invocation. Please stand.
Please join me in prayer. Our Heavenly Father, we give thanks to you for this day. We ask you to be with us as we make decisions which we hope will be pleasing in your sight. We ask that you bless each and every one of the cities and local governments that are represented here today, and all of the citizens of the Rio Grande Valley. Give us the wisdom and knowledge to do your will. We ask for peace in the world. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic that stands one nation,
under God.
Please be seated. Thank you, Mayor Boswell. Line item number 2, consideration action to approve meeting minutes, January 26th of 2022. I entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion. Approved. And a second. Any more discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 And all opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Line item 3, public comments and or report from legislative delegation, which we don't have. Line item number 4, administration, Ms. Manuel Cruz. Executive Director report.
Yes, Mr. President, good morning. Good morning to board members. First item is introduction of new staff. We have brought on board 3 new staff members. Ms. Celia Mata for Valley Metro, Rodel Gonzalez for Valley Metro, and Mr. Oscar Colon for our AAA or House Navigation. And that's it for this past month. If we're ready for item 2, I can proceed with the presentation.
Welcome to the staff members. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay, the item number 2 is presentation on COG and RPC's survey on compensation. RPC is just the Regional Planning Commission. That's how COGS, the names of the COGS officially go off of as. We're also known as the Council of Governments. And this comes at the request of the president and board members from last month's board meeting. And so before I proceed, just want to make sure everybody online can hear me. Just doing a mic test. Good?
Very clear.
Everybody
Thumbs up?
okay?
Okay. The presentation pretty much LRGVDC salaries for personnel. The question was how are they consistent with those of other COGS in Texas? So first, before we go into that, we need to understand that salaries for the COG staff and the executive directors are aligned with the Texas State Auditor's Office Job Description Index. The job index lists over 1,000 state of Texas job descriptions, and this report is generated every biennium, becomes effective every September 1st. This job index also consists or contains data on military crosswalk, which basically it matches the MOS or military occupational specialty code for each of the branches of the U.S. Armed Forces to each job classification series in the state position classification plan. So we also have provided you with the link to that, as well as the page, as you'll see on the next slide. And then the next slide, this is what it contains. Within that website, the job description index, you'll find a class code and a class title, which basically, if you click on any one of those, it's just a job description, generic in type, that we can modify based on our needs, based on our programmatic, needs, functions. So the salary group is basically the salary range, and we have a minimum, medium, and a max range. And you also will take a look at the military crosswalk if you click on the administrative support. A closer look into these particular titles. So first, I will let you know that for executive director, as you can see on the top left, you'll have director 1 all the way to deputy directors. There is no executive director title, in this. And so executive directors are classified under one of these director class titles. As you know, there's no executive or executive title in local government. That's mostly for the private sector. And so on the right side of the screen, you'll see the deputy director number, and this is just another job description, and you'll have the class code, salary group, and salary range. And so we work very closely with our human resources and our finance department, because as you know, COGS do not generate revenue. We are 99.5% of our budget is either state or federally funded. And so we take good care of those funds that come our way, and that's why we utilize the state index to go off of. And so it basically has a job description, and then at the bottom, you'll see the salary group, and as you can see, the B33, B34, and so on. And this is not only to this particular position, but also to our staff. They basically, from level to level, the medium range increases by between 5% to 10% based on pay grade. So the next page will provide you with the synopsis of a bird's eye view of the top 5 regions based on population. The map you'll see on the right top corner, it's a resource that that the Texas Association of Regional Councils has. That's our counterpart up in Austin, who helps us with the legislature and funding and so forth. But they have had this website for the longest time. And so there you can see at the bottom left corner, you'll see where the LRGVDC ranks. We're ranked number 5, and that's based on population. So the next slide will provide you a complete list of all the councils of governments, regional planning commissions throughout the state of Texas. And we're not unique to the state of Texas only. We also have regional planning commissions throughout the United States. And so that list will provide you with all the COGs and where they fall based on population. As you can see, we're the 5th largest COG and in the state of Texas. The next slide.
We're not seeing any slides.
I've been looking all over the place.
I'm trying to figure out how to project it without the thing is on this first user. But I will try to get it on. Sorry about that. It's 11.
Just bear with us, folks. We're trying to get the people in the room to.
Yeah.
No, it's everybody. No.
Okay, so where were we? The next slide is the complete data or the complete information for all the COGs. And as you can see, hopefully on your screen, this is the Texas 24 Councils of Government, and this is 2019 data. As you will see at the bottom, this report was created by the State Auditor's Office from data of COGs and RPC between September 1st, 2019 through August 31st of 2020 for the release of the report of 2021. You'll have the source where we obtained that information from, and the last note is columns G and H, which you'll see the arrows pointing to, are created in an Excel spreadsheet, but it doesn't show the letters at the top. So it's G and H. So 7 COGs reported a range only for EDs, and totals do not include extra pay such as government vehicle or bonuses. And so if you take a look at the chart, you'll have a complete description, summary of all the COGs of the region, the COG name by acronym, the location geographically within the state of Texas, the name of the city that they're housed in, their home base, the number of counties, the population for each COG at the time, 2019, number of staff, and then you have the minimum, maximum, and then you have the revenue that the COG brings in. And so if you take a look at this database or this data information, it's really hard to match our COG with any other COG in the state of Texas. I believe that all COGs are unique because they all bring large amount of valuable services to the region. But that will show you a synopsis of all the COGs in the state of Texas. And on the bottom left-hand corner, you'll find, I don't know if you can see it, but I did provide the 6 COGs that within the past 5-6 years have had new executive directors. Out of the 24 COGs, 6 have had new directors within the past 5 to 6 years. And then the next slide, I'm going to turn it over to Eddie Reyes. He's our HR director, and he can provide you with a summary of what you're seeing on the screen.
Good afternoon, board members. As Mr. Cruz said, my name is Eddie Reyes, HR Director for the last 4 years. This survey request was done by Cape Cod. They requested information on our executive director of pay. I kept it as original as possible. There's not a lot of information. I want to keep it original for transparency. As you can see, for the last few years, 2014 to 2021, you see a breakdown of the salary. You do see a 130 there. In general, the previous the executive director, we brought him in at 130, and then after a year, promoted him to the higher salary, as you can see on the following year. That's historically what we do. This year, I didn't participate in the performance evaluation meeting, leave, and I was going to make some recommendations at that point. I was planning on bringing that up at the end of this year for the evaluations for those recommendations, but that's what you're seeing there. The 134,219 is the average of the last 2 salaries for the current executive director, and the number above that, 158, is the average for the last few years that we've had here. But that's the basic breakdown of that survey request that was done at that time in 2019. If anyone has any questions, I'd be glad to answer.
Basically, the reason this came up is that there was not a question, it was just an interest as to how we stand in comparison to others. And I looked at the chart. There's one particular chart, in my opinion, that says it all. And that is that I feel we're in the ballpark. I think that we, considering we have a new executive director, that we are giving ourselves fluctuation in terms of increases and what have you. And at the same time, we're not at the bottom either. So I think we're right on. That's my opinion. And I know that there was some board members that were interested in that. So hopefully that would satisfy that interest.
And Judge, and yes, it does satisfy my interest. And I just thought that this could be a tool that the committees could use when considering compensation for the different employees. I think it served its purpose.
Thank you. Is there any other questions?
Thank you for pursuing and acquiring this survey, because I remember the last time we talked about it was several years ago, and we didn't move on it. And it seems like that information was available for us, and here it is. And again, thank you for getting this survey done.
Yes, sir.
And I will add, the next slide will provide you an example of one of our northern COGs, typically what they do, and like I said, each COG is unique. This particular COG provides salary, merit, and or bonuses or other incentives for their executive director. The next couple of slides, I won't go into detail, but basically reporting requirements, as the next slide will provide you with the background information, concentrating on the last 2 bullets. Basically, Texas Local Government Code Section 391 requires that COG annually submit reports on compensation, funding, indirect rates, productivity, performance, audit by CPA, and asset disposals. And so the last bullet would be requires COGs to submit salary schedule, including salary of all exempt positions, no later than 45 days before start of the COG fiscal year. And you'll have the resource where we took it from. The next page, I think it's the last page. This is a summary of what that report consists of, and all this information is online under the state auditor's office. And basically this provides you a summary of the COG. And I provided 2 samples, ours and Alamo area, which is the San Antonio COG, which has summary of the COG, and then right in the middle, whether it exceeded or not exceeded the salary caps. And then the audit results that were done that year. And then at the bottom, you'll have the 2 or 3 top major funding programs within each of the COG or that specific COG. Last but not least, I'll open it up to questions, but before that, just keep in mind that at this COG, there's no official procedure that's done in the form of an evaluation for the executive director. But I know when Mr. Jones was here, and then when Mr. Garza was here, and now with me, we made it a point to create one, to have one in place that is provided to the executive committee. We review it every year, and it's not just about, percentage. I provide valuable information. The COG has accomplished, list of accomplishments that we've done throughout the year. And so they have, they can also, ask questions in reference to where we're at and so forth. And all that is compiled and brought before the main board as recommendation for you all to decide what would be the next step. So I'll be happy to take any questions.
If there are any. If there's
I
not,
have, Ms.
Go ahead.
Madison.
go ahead.
One is, so do we have, am I hearing you right? We have created an evaluation policy here in our COG or not?
That's correct, Mayor Salinas. We do have one in place. It's not an official, but we can always make it official. We can develop a SOP, standard operating procedures, and bring it before this board but officially has never been adopted, but we do have one in place that the executive board is privy to, that they review, submit their recommendations, their scores and what have you.
So would that be something that we would have to amend our employee policy? Would it be included there or be set aside from that?
Not that I'm aware of. I don't think we would have to modify our policies. It would just be an addition for the executive director.
And secondly, those bonuses on those, I think it was 4 or 5 COGs that were given bonuses at the end of the year. And I imagine those were given through merits. And I don't have access to opening up your survey here other than you showed us. So how was that, and that's also part of the evaluation policy that they have? Is that also included in there? Salary and merit and bonuses, that's something you would include in that evaluation policy?
But so that information, it's based on a COG to COG basis. I would want to imagine that they do have some type of evaluation process that they review. But, I did take a look at San Antonio COG. They did have their past evaluation for the executive director. It's available online, the virtual, sample audio and video. And they go into executive session. They meet with the human resource director and provide their outcome to the entire board for as their recommendation for their consideration to approve.
Good, thank you. Judge Guerra, I pose this question to you. Do we want to go ahead and certify or create by an evaluation tool that I don't know if you use it or not, but if not, it's something to consider to be part of the process?
Yes, we do use an evaluation sheet Mayor, that we've been using for the past few years that I've been seeing it. I'm sure it goes back even further than that. And if you can remember that the executive chief executive board, I think it's called, evaluates, and then the choice or option of going into executive session to discuss in more detail was given to this board at that time a few meetings back, or maybe last meeting. And it was decided that the recommendation of that board would be accepted, and we moved on. But I can tell you that internally, there is an evaluation done, and we do ask questions, quite a bit of them.
And I guess I was asking that question because of Mr. Cruz's information that there is an evaluation, but it's never been approved. Do we need to do any approving to that evaluation, or we can just be used as a tool aside of any requirement of approval by the directors?
But I think the way we've been doing it has been working out, and I know we're going into how we evaluate. What my understanding, the initial question was more salaries, where we stood in comparison to others, and I know they go hand in hand, but the evaluation process is really a different topic that we can look into.
Thank you, sir.
Is there any other questions pertaining to how we compare to others? Okay, so having said that, we go to line item number 5, and thank you for all that. Number 5, department reports. A, Community and Economic Development, Mr. Rick Carrera. And his program action items is number 1, consideration and action to approve Regional Small Cities Coalition Officers for year 2022.
Judge Guerra, Mr. President, and board members, present these items to you this afternoon. The Regional Small Cities Coalition had their meeting on February 3rd. The following were nominated and approved by that committee. And of course, I present them to you here for your approval. The chair would be Sullivan City Mayor Alma Di Salinas. The vice chair would be Commissioner Maria Luisa Gonzalez from the city of Lyford. And from the city of Rio Hondo, their city manager, Mr. Ben Medina. Again, these they received approval from the committee, and as I present them to you all today.
Do we need a motion?
Can I take a motion?
Yes, I so Mayor Salinas, City of Lyford.
All right. So I have a motion.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve the Regional Small Cities Coalition officers as mentioned. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And all opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Line item 2, consideration and action to approve Regional Water Resource Advisory Committee nomination for large city representatives.
Thank you, Judge. February 16th, the RURAC, as it's called, Regional Water Resources Advisory Committee, held their meeting. There was a vacancy there created for a large city representative. Mr. Javier Cervantes, the Planning and Development Director of the City of Harlingen, was nominated and unanimously voted and approved by the committee. And I present that to you today.
Okay, so we have the nominee.
I'll move to approve the nomination.
Nomination, Javier Cervantes, sir.
Second. All right,
With
so
City of Harlingen.
I have a motion to approve. Is there a second? And a second? Any more discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Same sign, motion carries.
Just a few highlights, sir, if I may.
Go ahead.
Before I step down.
Recorded.
That's me, I'm sorry.
No, I know, I'm just trying to figure it out.
There we go.
Just a few highlights. Of course, you see the reservoir water levels in front of you there. The water, we are at still below 50% capacity. I'm sure Mr. Darling, if he wants to make any commentary on that, he's welcome to do so.
I would just add that all the cities look at their conservation ordinances because they're triggered based on reservoir capacity, and once it goes 40, I think there's additional ones that they need to
All right, thank you. A couple of things. We are stepping up our outreach efforts in light of some of the numbers of COVID, the COVID numbers being decreasing. We were recently at the Winter Outdoor Wildlife Expo at South Padre Island, had a booth at the Los Fresnos Rodeo. Look for us at the Keep McAllen Beautiful Arbor Day event on March 6th. We'll have a booth out there. Be sure to come by and say hello to us there. Solid waste, we received several applications for implementation grants. Those were gone through this morning by a subcommittee. We'll present those to the Solid Waste Advisory Committee at the next meeting. Want to congratulate Commissioner Garza. I don't know if he's here with us today. Yesterday, they had the grand opening ribbon cutting of the South Texas Ecotourism Center there in Laguna Vista. Along with that celebration, we had the opportunity to meet with, because she was here for the event, was Assistant Secretary of Commerce Alejandra Castillo, along with Jorge Ayala, the Regional Director for EDA. Mr. Cruz and myself had the opportunity to speak with both of them about various funding opportunities that will be coming down the line and several different initiatives. And that's, of course, they did take a tour of some of the other EDA funded projects. In front of you is a group picture of a bunch of us there at the former Casa de Nylon, which will now be known as the Ebridge building there in Brownsville, in downtown Brownsville. That's a project that EDA has helped fund along with that ecotourism center. And of course, thank you to Veronica Gonzalez, beg your pardon. She's with us here today. She and the University of Texas Rio Grande Valley did an excellent job holding a roundtable for most of those people in the picture actually attended a roundtable there that she held with the Assistant Secretary and Mr. Ayala yesterday afternoon. And I was fortunate enough to be able to attend that. And I believe that's all I have for y'all this afternoon. If anybody has any questions, by all means, I'm here for the rest of the day. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carrera. And congratulations to the County of Cameron. No, Commissioner Garza is meeting with the Corps of Engineers tomorrow, I believe, and our County Commissioner Edward Gonzalez is with him. That's why I know about that. Anyway, thank you. I'm sure that if he was on, he would have commented on that. Line item B is Health and Human Services, Mr. Jose L. Gonzalez.
Yes, Mr. President, members of the board, good afternoon.
I apologize.
I have one action item.
Okay.
And it's adding additional direct purchase vendors to our vendor pool. We have 4 applicants. Advisory Council is recommending approval of these organizations. Most of them homemaker and respite services. The incontinence systems are broken down. They're very competitive with our current vendors, so everything's ready to go.
I move approval of the contractors as recommended.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any more discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 And all opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
That's good.
Thank you. That completes my report.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. And item C, Public Safety, Mr. Randall Snyder.
Good afternoon, Mr. President, members of the board. I have 3 action items for you today. The first action item is for consideration action to approve the exact recommendation for chair and vice chair. Per the bylaws, annual elections were held for chair and vice chair for FY 2023, in which Mr. Tom Hushin of Cameron County was reelected as chair, and Mr. Jeff Johnson, City of McAllen, was elected as vice chair.
Move to approve.
I have a motion to approve. Can I entertain a second? And the second. Any more discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Line item 2, consideration and action to approve resolution for fiscal year 2022-2023 Homeland Security Grants funding.
So with this, Mr. President, we're looking at applying for a nonprofit security grant. It may be far out into left field as to whether or not we would actually qualify for it, but there is $150,000 available in FEMA funding for us to be able to consider under the purviews of medical and education with the Law Enforcement Academy. in order to increase potential security concerns, which it could be utilized to increase security within the buildings and within the facility. And per the grants, it must include a resolution approved by the board.
Entertain a motion to approve a resolution to apply.
Move approval.
I have a motion to approve. Can I entertain a second?
Second, City of Mission.
Second. Any more discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And all opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Line item 3, consideration and action to approve entertaining into memorandum of understanding for Texas statewide interoperability. Interoperability.
Yes, sir. As part of the Public Safety Office's Homeland Security.
Hold on. I need to beat this thing. Interoperability.
Perfect.
Perfect communication plan. Thank you for being patient. Go ahead.
Can you go back to the action item there on the screen? There it is. Number 2.
I thought you were going to say, you were going to make me read it again.
The statewide interoperability communications plan. All of them, one at a time. If one of us falls, we all fall, right?
There you go.
So this establishes permissions and guidelines for the use of interoperability or mutual aid radio channels by local governmental jurisdictions and their associated emergency response agencies, state agencies, the associated emergency response organizations, federal agencies, and associated emergency response organizations, local agencies, and Texas and their associated response. So what this does is it imposes certain protocols and procedures and obligations upon jurisdictions hereby authorized to use state licensed radio communications.
Move to approve.
I have a motion to approve. Can I entertain a second? And the second. Any more discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And all opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
In your package, you should be able to look and review a copy of the resolution, as well as the grant announcement for the nonprofit security grant, as well as a copy of the MOU. The remainder items within the packet are just your monthly status reports for all programs within Homeland Security. And I'll entertain questions if you have.
Is there any questions for Mr. Snyder? If none, thank you, Mr. Snyder.
Thank you, sir.
And we go to 5D, transportation, with Ms. Marimel Contreras.
Good afternoon, Chair and board members. Valley Metro has 4 action items. The first action item is to approve and revise the LRGVDC Regional Transit Services Department's drug and alcohol-free workplace policy. Revisions were made to the LRGVDC's policy under section 5.0, safety sensitive positions on page 4. Revisions were made under management and supervisors and professional responsibilities. Staff is recommending approval.
Can I entertain a motion to approve drug and alcohol-free workplace? I have a motion to approve. Can I entertain a second?
I'll second that.
And a second. Any more discussion?
I just, was there any big change to it? It was just this one single, like some minor changes, some management changes?
Yes, it was just changes specifically under the positions that fall under operations, which is the operators, the customer service reps, dispatchers, vehicle drivers. This.
It was just to include more people, right? Okay, that's my questions. Thank you.
Okay, any more discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And all opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Line item 2, consideration and action to approve revised LRGVDC Regional Transit Service Department's operation policies and procedures manual.
For this section, under the operating policies and procedures, we made some updates to the following sections, which is under general employee expectations and conduct. That's to maintain a safe and professional environment. Also under customer service, the importance of customer service, and then also the proper use of equipment, which entails safety inspection, safety use of equipment. These changes were made due to the restructuring of our operating division. Staff is recommending approval.
Approve.
I have a motion to approve. Can you just need a second? And a second. Any more discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Line item 5.3, consideration and action to approve implementation of new fare structure for Valley Metro service.
Staff requests board approval to implement a new fare structure for Valley Metro services to become effective on March 15, 2022. The new structure is needed due to the increased costs related to the overall transit operations, including but not limited to our operating costs, preventive maintenance, fuel, parts, supplies, and equipment. As you might be aware, we have been operating with a free fare to our community since March of 2017, with the idea that it would create more ridership. Then with the additional CARE Act federal funds provided due to COVID, we were able to continue the free fare ride. However, in order to continue to provide the level of service that we're currently providing, we feel the need to reinstate the collection of fares. Some of our concerns is having enough cash funds for our operating. In 2021, the board approved acquisition of a fare collection system that cost over $1 million. We have promptly installed the fare boxes, and as of today, we have been fully installed in all our fleet and ready to go. A transit agency peer review fare structure survey analysis was conducted in May of 2020 to determine the new fare structure. No other transit agency in our area or the state of Texas provides the regional type of service that we provide. A copy of the analysis was included in the packet. We also conducted a series of outreach public meetings in January of 2022 in Hidalgo, Cameron, Willacy, Starr, and Zapata counties to get input from the public. Input was received and included in the new fare structure decision. Meetings were advertised in the Valley Metro buses, website, newspaper, and social media. The recommended fare structure includes the following: Valley Metro regular fare structure, demand response, and passes. On the Valley Metro regular fare structure, for adults, the regular fare is going to be $2, and then we also have the discount fare at 50% for elderly, people with disabilities, veterans, Medicare recipients, students with a valid ID. Transfers are going to be $1. We also have a free fare for South Texas College students, TSTC, and UTRGV students with valid ID. This also includes Cameron County workforce and children under the age of 3 will ride for free. We also include a 20 ride pass. The 20 ride pass, it's $20 for adult for regular fare, and then the discount fare for the elderly and people with disabilities, veterans, Medicare recipients, students. Our demand response has a regular fare, and our demand response service is a curb to curb service that's provided throughout the counties of Willacy, Starr, and Zapata counties. And for demand response service, we do have a $3 fare within city limits, $6 within county, $8 one county over, $12 two counties over, and we also have the 50% discount fare. And then the $1 transfers and free for children under the age of 7. We also have the daily passes for $6 city limits, $9 within county, $12 one county over, $16 two counties over, and we also have the discount fare. For the weekly pass, it's $30 within the city limits, $45 within county, $60 one county over, and $80 two counties over, and we also provide the discount fare. Staff is recommending approval for the new fare structure.
I didn't hear the first part. She said all this used to be free before, now we charge. That's the basic.
We do have the free fare. And that's for South Texas College, TSTC, UTRGV students with valid ID. And that also includes Cameron County workforce and children under the age of 7.
When's the date for initiation on this?
If the board approves, it would be effective March 15.
Roll it out, so our some are used to not paying and they get the bus, they don't have that much. How are we gonna roll this out so the riding public knows about this?
Maribel, did you hear that?
No, I didn't hear that.
You did or didn't?
I didn't.
I just wondered how we're gonna roll it out so that on March 15th, the first person gets on the bus and only has how are we gonna let the riding public be aware of these, of now they have to pay?
So if the board approves, we're gonna go ahead and advertise the new fare structure in all our buses to inform the public that is using the service, and also in our website and social media.
How does this compare to other areas that run transit, the prices, the fare?
So aside from our transit services here in our area, we also have McAllen Metro, which runs only in the city of McAllen, which charges $1. B Metro, which runs in the city of Bronzeville, charges $1. Our service is different from McAllen Metro and B Metro because they only run within the city. And for our system and our service, it runs in different cities. It's not in just in one city.
Ma'am, I don't think March 15th is enough time to let the people know of the changes. I think that you should push it back to at least 60 days so they can be notified and they can be made aware of the weights of all the, and they can be more organized by that time.
Also with fuel prices going up, did y'all already take those fuel prices into account when you put together this fee schedule?
Yes, so as of right now, there's an inflation in supply and demand. So as of right now, that's the reason why we want to make sure that we're able to continue the service that we have at the current level that we're providing.
Just for clarification, I would want to, what would a South Texas College student would have to show? Their student ID or or another identification? What would they have to show the driver?
It would have to be their student ID.
And the fee would be how much?
It's free.
It's free. Wonderful.
So I apologize. I'm new at these things. So is this something that's been discussed over time already amongst the committee? Like we knew it was coming type of thing? Or is this something new? Because, and the reason I'm asking is, was the original intent of the Valley Metro to provide a free service for people and then it just got a little out of hand on us? Is that what is happening here? Or was that the original intent of this, to provide free? I guess that's my question.
It was initially to increase the ridership and promote the services.
We've been working for the past 2 years, like Maribel said, here in the past few months, we implemented or installed the new fare boxes. We spent about $1 million to outfit all the buses. It's been a work in progress. And like she said, back in 2017, that's when we started the free ride to try to generate more right. And so since then, we've been working, but the board has always postponed it due to a variety of things. And so we're at that point where the inflation
Obviously.
the inflation
Telling
is
people they're
up,
getting something for free, by the way, we're charging you now, so.
cost is up, and on top of that, we have to satisfy our grant match requirements. And so that's a big item. And currently we have contracts with cities that request ridership or routes. But even some of those cities are not providing we haven't increased the fare or the contribution at all for the city. So that compounds the situation.
And it's been subsidized by the federal government. So last year, if we ran at a deficit, how do we make up the deficit? Because all our accounts are
Yes.
zero balance.
Yeah, when I took over, I think I was negative because of not having the fares. That was one of the factors. Luckily, the CARES Act funding came about, and so that's where that leveled us out where we needed to be. And so, but without those funds, we would have been, I think, deeper in the hole.
But the first year or two, we were living off the subsidies only, and we outgrew the subsidies, I guess.
Correct.
And CARES Act picked up the other one. So I don't think we have a choice but to charge, otherwise you have to curtail services.
And then based on the
Or hit
assessment,
cities up for more, that's the problem, right?
and that's hard to do,
Yeah.
based on percentage, based on ridership. It's a fine line. We've done an assessment on obviously, you can't compare cog to cog, but we've done comparisons with other cogs such as, San Antonio and the larger metropolitan areas. And by far, we have the lowest ridership fares in the entire state of Texas.
Ms.
So I have one question, Mayor Salinas. So prior to 2017, what was the charge?
The charge was $1 regular fare and 50 cents discount fare.
Thank you, ma'am. So there had been a charge in the past. There was
Yes.
being offered as an incentive to get more population on the buses. So the motion is to approve the new fare structure rate. Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Was that in form of a motion, Mayor? Didn't catch
If
that.
you're ready to entertain one, yes, sir, I am.
All right, so I have a motion. Can I entertain a second? And a second. Ms. Contreras, I wanted to ask you, you mentioned something about getting input from, did you say from the public?
Yes, sir.
And what was the setting there? What was the reaction or?
It was more from Starr County and Zapata County because they use demand response service. Like Zapata, the families go from Zapata all the way to Laredo for doctor's appointments, and a lot of them are single parents and they have a lot of children. So they were saying if we have to pay for each of the children that they're taking with them, it's money that they don't have. So that's why for the demand response, we included where children under the age of 7 would ride for free. And then students would have that discount fare if they were paying $3 or $6.
So you feel that even with these increases, we should have people that are taking advantage of the services? That's what you gathered?
No, what I meant is I was saying that because a lot of the families have a lot of children, in order to accommodate, because we're here trying to provide a service for the community. We're not trying to make money or anything like that. It's just trying to provide a service for those people that need the transportation services for the basic needs and to go to the grocery store or go to the doctor's appointments. So we included in there a discount for the children, so that way they wouldn't have to pay the regular fare. And then also we increased for children under the age of 7 for them to ride for free as well.
I have a quick question. This is Mayor Maribel Guerrero.
Yes.
How did you come about the turnaround time for onboarding of the new rates? You're saying you have the start date of March. I think that's, about 2 weeks away. Would you guys consider extending that just a little bit longer just to give the community a better chance of getting adjusted to the new rates? What was the logic in choosing that date?
On that, it's a timeline and planning that we took into effect from the installing all the fare boxes in all the buses, informing the public with all the public meetings that we had, and then giving them at least 2 weeks for them to be ready with those changes if the board approved. So it won't be the first time that they're hearing of it, because we did have those meetings back in January.
Oh, okay. So you've had public input and public meetings. You've had a chance to do some appropriate and adequate outreach just to let the citizens know. Okay. Wasn't
Yes.
too sure about that background.
And if I may add, this is again, in the form of a recommendation to this board, and we would be glad to take any recommendations, whether keep the March 15 date or 60 days. But as Maribel said, the information is ready to go. We have provided under the public comments. So it's up to the wishes of the board.
Based on the ridership levels that we've had, have you modeled out how much you anticipate this proposed will generate total revenue?
Yes, as of right now, back in December, we did have a little over 26,000 trips provided. And then, of course, in the month of January, we only had 22,000. We did have a decrease, but that was due to the college and university winter break closure. So if you're looking at the regular fare, 26,000 times 2, that would be a little bit over 50-some thousand a month.
What's how large is the student
Yeah, right there. That's
population
4,000,
ridership out of that number?
4,000 less right off the bat.
Well, as of right now, yeah, there was a decrease, I mean, on the ridership for the students. So, I mean, since we didn't have, last month it was 26,000, that's about 4,000 less this month in January on ridership.
Okay, well, yeah, so you need to estimate the number of students and subtract that out, but I guess you'll get a read on it once you start the implementation of the fare. But if you're trying to, I mean, it seems like the way we should back into this, how much do we need, and how much should the fare be based on how much we need to continue to operate the program. I think the easiest way, it seems to me, to advise the rider public, put some sort of notice on the vehicle, on the van or the bus, when they get on the van or the bus, and run that 30 days and give them, I think we should give them at least 30 days. Maybe not 60, but at least longer than what's being proposed here.
I would agree with that.
It's perfect, especially if you guys are gonna put the signs in all the buses and make them aware of the changes coming up. I think that's what it's about.
We can do that.
We can do that. We can do that.
So just to be clear, and so that before I ask Mayor Salinas to amend his motion, is so a targeted date would be perhaps the last day of March, or
May 1st.
Could start April 1st.
April
That sounds good.
1st. Okay, Mayor Salinas, since you made the motion, will you amend it to be effective, even though we didn't mention it, but to be effective April 1st?
I can do that. I just have one more comment on that particular thing. I don't think 15 days is going to make a difference if the, you know, it's the cost of the fare is going to be the set that we approve, but I don't have a problem with that. I can amend the motion by saying that the target date will be April 1st for the change of the Valley Metro fare structure.
Okay, so I have an amended motion by Mayor Salinas, and who's second? You were for it, so and I have a second, amended second as well. Any more discussion?
Well, just something to consider, April 1st, April Fools. So I mean,
That's exactly.
we're coming. All right. Mayor Boswell has it.
Okay, so I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And all opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We go to line item number 5.4, consideration action to approve new fare structure, RGV Metro Express service.
At this time, staff was also requesting approval for the new fare structure for RGV Metro Express. Of course, as our previous action item, we also did a series of public meetings to inform the public of the new fare structure for RGV Metro Express. For this new fare structure, it's needed in order for us to continue the level of service that we're currently providing for RGV Metro Express. For this service, of course, we are working with different partners, which is McAllen Metro, B Metro, South Padre, the City of Harlingen, and also the City of Edinburgh, where they're providing a local match for us to provide the service for RGV Metro Express. But even with the amount of local match that they're providing, we're still needing additional funds from the fares in order for us to provide the level of service that we're currently providing. If we're not able to increase the amount of fares that they're currently paying, which right now for a daily pass, they're paying $5 from Brownsville all the way to Edinburgh or all the way to McAllen. The new fare would be $10. For the weekly pass, it's $25 right now. With the new fare, it would be $50. For the monthly pass, it would be, right now it's $100. The new fare would be $200. UTRGV, and then we also have the free fare for UTRGV and faculty. And for other students, it's $25 fare, and the new fare would be $50 for a 30-day pass.
So only the faculty get a free fare, or who all?
UTRGV and faculty.
Students and faculty.
And the faculty for UTRGV.
Yes.
And for this service, it's been a ongoing fare that has been in place and has a history or background. We adopted this service from McAllen and Brownsville about a couple of years ago. Initially, it was funded by TxDOT 100% for a year, but last year or 2020 or 2021, we ran into the pandemic. At the time, we were generating about $340,000 in fees. So, but the pandemic hit and we had to scale back. It was no longer funded by TxDOT. Those entities that Maribel mentioned initially, LRGV, Brownsville, McAllen, and LRGVDC provided the match for that service. Most recently, thankfully, the city of Harlingen and the city of Edinburgh wanted to participate. And so we're adding those two cities so it could reduce the amount of costs for everybody in general.
I have a question. As you add more cities, the word express
Yes.
becomes less important.
Correct. Yes, we need to be careful with that. I know there's been 2 other cities that requested, but that's something that we have a committee in place that they'll review. And because that was one of the concerns that UTRGV had, is the more cities we put, the more stops, the express goes out the window. And so we just want to be careful on how many cities we actually, add to this service.
Maribel, I'm just gonna ask a question. I'm gonna be biased here. On the rural system that we currently have, you mentioned, the county of Cameron, Hidalgo, Willacy, and Star and Zapata. The services run from Monday through Sunday, 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. That hasn't changed what we currently have in Willacy, does it? As far as calling in and for appointments and what have you?
No, it hasn't changed. The service is still the same.
Right. Okay, so can I entertain a motion to approve?
Judge, do we want to do the same thing with the target date on this one, or do we want to, this is quite a bit of difference, or do we want to keep that one that they've recommended, March 15th?
I think it makes sense to do the same. Do you agree, Ms. Contreras?
Yes, that's fine.
Mayor Salinas, I so move that we approve the new fare structure for the RGV Metro Express service with a target effective date of April 1st, 2022.
I have a motion by Mayor Salinas. Can I entertain a second? And a second. Any more discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And all opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Any other reports, Ms. Contreras?
The only other report is the ridership report. In the month of January, we provided 22,233 passenger trips. That is a decrease of 17% from the previous month. And as I mentioned earlier, it was due to the college and university winter break closure.
All right.
That concludes my report.
Any more questions for Ms. Contreras? Okay, so with that, we go to Rio Grande Valley. Does she have the MPO status reported? That's hers, right?
No, it's Mr. Cannon, I don't know, for the RGV MPO. Yeah, the MPO, RGV MPO meets at 1:30 today here at the Ken Jones boardroom.
Finished it.
Thank God, but they were gonna keep going, no, after that?
They had,
That was hard, man.
And on that, I just want to comment on the tremendous achievement of having that one MPO. Are we already seeing the benefit of that? Does anybody know, since I'm kind of
There's a man
away from that?
to ask the question.
Good afternoon.
Assistant Director.
Yes, sir. Assistant Director Luis Diaz, RGV MPO. As far as an update for the MPO, right now we're just collecting amendment updates to our 4-year plan and our 25-year plan. So amendments are coming in at the time from the local governments throughout the region, all the way from Stark County now, all the way to the island. So we're taking it all in. So right now updates are coming in. We're taking those, we're reporting them all. And we're also getting ready to do scoring of the projects as well for our 4-year plan, because that's how some of the projects are going to be decided upon. And that's pretty much all we have going on right now at the MPO.
Yeah, no, the question I had is very general.
Yes, sir.
And that is that, I think that one of the biggest accomplishments, in my opinion, of the Rio Grande Valley is the one MPO that
for sure
that we've managed to
Yes,
do,
sir.
or you all managed to do. And the question is, are we already seeing the benefit of that?
For sure, yes. Yes, we are. As far as it gives us the more of opportunity to do more regional wide projects opposed to, the projects that are more locally driven. So that's one of the bigger benefits of it, that we're able to ask for those type of funds, for those type of longer corridors and longer type of facilities.
Well, that's
Yes,
great.
sir.
Any other question having to do with the MPO? If not,
thank you.
We go to line item 6, new and unfinished business. We have
Just once again, Eco-Tourism Center is open. I believe it's free. There's no charge, so it's on your way to the island. So this weekend or future trips to the island, feel free just to sideswipe or just stop by there, take a look at it. It's a very impressive facility. It's good for the community and looking to help any other jurisdictions, cities bring some more funding. I know there was a comment made by the Assistant Secretary that there's some more funding coming down through EDA here in the near future. So we'll be looking out for that and engaging with different communities to try to bring more projects like these to the area.
Anything else? So with that, we go to line item number 7, and that is to adjourn. So we are adjourned.
Good day.
Thank you all.
There is no February 3rd here.
I was gonna say, this is Ann. Is there February 30th? Or I think it should be March 30th.